We got your canons of business that you came up with, remember?
I do have that.
Huh?
I do have. That's pretty good.
I know, it's really good. Where'd you copy that off of?
No copy, just thoughts. Well, we didn't like a travel. Like Biden.
Do you remember it?
I did.
You remember it?
Yeah. Do business people like. Take care of tenant first. There's a bunch of things, yeah. Then watch our drinking.
Just leave that one out.
They're printed somewhere.
How far back? How long ago did you come up with this?
2, right when we were leaving. Yeah, they were the kind of principles or canons, and then some things just we got to watch.
When you were thinking about starting Hill Partners, how long did it take to get from like, okay, this is an idea in my head that I want to bring these folks on, and then I'm going to try to figure out.
That didn't happen at all. It took almost 9 months to drag him out of Trammell Crow.
No, we knew we needed to leave, but we needed to leave at the right time, just to keep everything kind of at peace with the people that we worked for many years. But we talked. I mean, Dick and Kent and I were the only ones that wanted to leave. And there are others in the organization that would have liked to have left with us, but we didn't want to do it. And that included some of the guys that were over us, or at least one of them. And it didn't make sense. To me, it didn't make sense at all to go back and be under the same structure we were under Trammell Crow with just a different name. So Kent and Dick did 80% of all the leasing. All that, and we were all friends and trusted each other. So we just waited for a while, and we did probably wait because at the same time the RTC, FDIC window of buying assets were closing, and we were able to just grab a little bit of it. Had
10 cents on the dollar,
better, but it's worked out over the 30 plus years. It's worked out all right.
Did it feel risky at the time?
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, we've had people throwing jacks across the street. Throwing the pencil drawer on the ground. It was quite a little tension.
And how do y'all feel about joining? Was this something that just made all the sense in the world? Or
We left as all partners, so it wasn't like, I was just leaving and starting the company. We left as partners together. We've been partners from day one. So
it's still a big move to leave Trammell Crow. I mean, established big deal firm.
Yeah,
I lost so much sleep when I was at Trammell Crow. I've never lost a bit of sleep since we left.
That tells us something, right?
Yeah, it just was.
And what was the environment? What was the commercial real estate environment like in Austin in the early 90s?
Well, we just had the dot-com bust. We just had the late 80s, debacle with all that was probably the biggest market.
RTC
shift.
Usually because of the tax law changes and the tail end of that and how
the 1986 tax law changes and everybody's just going, and then the savings and loan businesses that had gone in and started trading assets between themselves and hiding the ball. There was a lot of bad stuff going on. It crashed the market probably worse than anything we've seen.
Vacancy wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vacancy wise and just lenders not doing business with people. And Trammell Crow had I think 85 offices at the time, maybe over 200 partners, and most of them had taken Section 31 or whatever. It was basically most of them had taken insolvency statements, so the IRS service wouldn't come after them necessarily, but they had a lot of forgiveness of debt. We defaulted on most of the banks around the country. So if you had a Trammell Crow name tag, you weren't going to get a loan. So we had to leave because we wanted to develop.
Did you have any idea that Austin in the 90s was going to turn into Austin in the 2020s with the growth of this?
It was small back then. I mean, you had
still the
Motorola,
but the tech growth was amazing. Dell was a big force, and spinoffs from Dell, but we knew all the tenants. I think within Trammell Crow probably had still 50% of the market, so we left knowing at least 50% of the market really well, and I just think we took advantage of that with our tenant growth, and then we finally got. I guess we built the first spec building in '94 in the state. I know we did an office.
Yeah,
we built Lakewood, but the first Waterford. And Dick, you were quoted Wall Street Journal, weren't you?
Yeah.
What did it say?
I can't remember.
They thought we were crazy.
Yeah, I thought we were crazy for starting a spec building in Texas.
Yeah.
Which means
But nobody could have predicted what Austin was going to. You couldn't sit there in 1992 and try to describe what it'd be like in 2024. But we knew we were in a great place. It was a good place to live, and companies were going to grow here. And UT was here, was going to spit out a lot of smart people to grow more companies. And we had Austin Ventures back then, which was probably one of the first, or maybe the only venture capital fund in all of Texas. They were based here. So, I mean, but they were the biggest, they were the dominant ones. We knew them. It was helpful knowing them doing what they were funding. So you knew we knew it was going to grow, but nobody could have predicted what it did in the last 32 years.
Then we had, so how many booms and busts have we seen? It was the first one, and we went into the first one. Was the second one the .com?
Yeah, probably 2002 and then 2008 and now.
How does this cycle compare to the other cycles that y'all have lived through?
Not sure yet.
I'd say in the late 80s, the real estate was held by people that really didn't have staying power. A lot of individuals and people that really weren't that professional. And the market wasn't that professional back then. We didn't have all the major national brokerage firms. There were just some small local guys. And so as a consequence, we got really close and knew our tenants really well. And the marketing team and the people that were really taking care of the tenants didn't have a broker, that was siphoning the information and the relationship. We had at least 50%, if not 75% direct relationship with the tenants. So we kind of grew with the tenants. I mean, Dick had a great relationship with Compiad, Bill Hayden. We had good relationships with a lot of major tenants that, we grew with and kind of rode their coattails.
How have you talk about the relationships, and I've been here for 5 or 6 months, and I see the relationships and the culture is really unique and special. How have you all kept that as the company has grown?
I think it's just all of our personalities. I mean, we like people, we like having friends, we like doing things with our friends. So it's not like something we have to kind of, put on our calendar to go, seek out relationships and take care of the friends that you have. That just comes natural, I think, for all three of us.
And we enjoy each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have. And that's probably the most unique thing, because, partnerships really aren't made to last as long as this has. But I think the underlying things, we're all really good friends.
Yeah.
And I think with everyone that works here, I mean, I don't look at it as people working for us. I mean, that never has crossed our mind. It's for us. We all work together. I mean, all of us. I mean, so it's not a kind of.
There's a low turnover, I think, because people enjoy working here. I think they trust everybody here, trust each other. And, there's some that don't work out. And over time, they kind of naturally go on. But we've always been there for people. If someone needed something in any form or fashion, I think we've always been there. I don't think anyone's ever called or come with any kind of problem we haven't tried to take care of, whether it's personal or business or whatever.
What do you look for when you hire the young guys? What do you look for?
Someone that's not from SMU, because
we can't afford them.
I'll say that I remember long ago we all talked about this. We like to find people that have played athletics at some level, high school, college, because they're competitive. They know what team is. They know how to work hard, work ethics, and everything else.
And they hate losing.
And so if you look around and you see there's pro football, there's basketball players in college, there's golfers, there's college football players, and there's just people that were competitive and they didn't like losing, and yet they played as a team. They weren't a bunch of individuals. You can find great individuals that don't play well as a team.
Right.
And we're a team. I truly think we are a team that loves each other and grows together.
I think so. And also, I've always found out, and I think we're all about the same on this, is that it's much better to get maybe just somebody out of school or just someone that hasn't been in the business and created their own set of ethics or habits. I mean, we kind of like to, I'd rather train them our way, so they don't. I mean, because I think it's uniquely different than going to another, typical real estate company.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's true.
We have
I mean, when you're trying to get somebody to come in and do things that we kind of the HPI way, they've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, someone else's way, it's just a lot harder.
Right.
Not that we haven't learned from people that have come here and incorporated some of that into our processes and everything like that, but it's the core part of how we do it, which is what Richard just said. It's all about the team. If it's all about the individual, that individual on one particular quarter or one particular year may do great, but the team may suffer. But if everybody's pulling the wagon all at the same time, it's like every little league coach has ever told you when you're playing T-ball. I mean, you got to play as a team. You got to be happy as a team. You win as a team, lose as a team. If you have that mentality and that attitude, that's very powerful.
Right. So the Wednesday morning meetings, where there's such a free flow of information, has that always been something that's been a part of the culture, just to make sure that
It
everybody?
used to be 7:30. So it's 8 o'clock, and it starts at 8 sharp, which I like. You don't see a lot of people dragging in once we got rid of Ace.
I think it's always been on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's always Wednesday. Forever and ever. We've done that now 40 years or however many. I guess it's got 40 years.
So how many
folk for me? I started in 1980 and there were Wednesday meetings.
So early on, there's only a handful of folks in those meetings, and now we've outgrown conference room.
Yeah, we used to do it in a little 301 conference room like this.
Well, 318 cars there used to be, well, at Susan,
Well, we would just do industrial.
Susan and Van Norm were in that same, so there's 6 or 8 agents in there.
Yeah.
Back then we also, the leasing agents were very responsible for cold calling.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this. So not only did we all start, and it's hard on your marriage, hard on relationships, everything else when you start out like that. But we were entertaining at nights, we were entertaining on the weekends, and then if we weren't entertaining customers, we were entertaining ourselves together. It was a lot of fun. We traveled, we've done everything, we've bonded, we've cried and bonded and fought and
We worked hard at night. Because we did a lot of entertaining. We also, just did a lot of with peers and everyone around town. So we would want to hang with the sharpest people and find out who was doing what.
Yeah. So I think some of the old Tramco values was that they were trying to hire people that were sharp, competitive, and someone you want to go get a beer with. I mean, they really wanted you to bond with people because the real estate market is homogeneous. There's a lot of different office buildings or industrial buildings or retail centers you can go in. But in the end, you're going to want to be with someone that you trust, that you know, that you'll enjoy going to lunch with. When there's a problem with the facility, you can call Kent. You don't have to worry about calling your managers. We like them to call the managers, but there's somebody that will stand up for you. Yeah. And I think we've always been that way.
I think the closer you are to your tenant and the better relationship you have, the higher rate you can get from them as long as you're smiling.
What would you all tell a newbie? If there's a 22-year-old kid coming out of undergrad who wants to get into the business, what would you tell them?
We tell them, and we meet with a lot of those folks because they're our friend. A lot of my friends' kids, that's their age, so you're going to meet with a lot of them. I tell them the same thing really we just talked about, which is just you got to not want to lose. You got to be honest. You have to be good with people, and you have to work very, very hard. And as long as you do those things, eventually you'll be successful. Like right now, we're in a market that's not going to be, nobody's going to go set the world on fire from a brokerage or a leasing standpoint right now. You can set yourself up to do that and build the relationships. When the market turns around, you'll be ready to go. Yeah, that's really it's all real simple.
It's work hard and outwork. You can outwork any other leasing person in town. And that, in my opinion, it's not hard to do, but it's just working harder than everybody else.
So grinding, essentially, right? Just have a mentality.
And whether times are good or bad, and it's hard to see what's going on when the market's not, that great. It's just, but it is working hard and setting yourself up for when things turn.
I think work ethic has changed. I think the COVID really set it back as people were used to going home and not working at the office, and when they're home, they weren't really working. And so now you're sitting there and you're trying to get them to really get back in the office, give you 40, 50 hours a week. That's hard to do. I don't know if people work 50-hour weeks anymore. Not this next generation. We used to work all through the week, weekends entertaining, and then if you're up at the office, at least half day Saturday, every Saturday. And I just don't think kids have the same work ethic. And I think it's a generational thing. I think COVID hurt it somewhat. And I think there's a lot of money.
But I think technology has changed that also because you know, a lot of the work that we had to do was whether it was paperwork, but it was methodical.
You didn't
It
have a
wasn't.
computer.
It wasn't right. Or it was trying to figure out, you know, who to go cold calling. You know,
You didn't
getting
have
that,
emails.
getting that the ABJ giving you 50 leads a week. Damnest thing I've ever seen.
Did you all start with Dun and Bradstreet cards? One of my first jobs, I had Dun and Bradstreet cards where I had information about anybody I wanted to talk to, and that's how I figured out who to cold.
I don't think we could afford the Dun and Bradstreet.
Yeah, but we have seen some innovation. If you really think about it, the first fax machine, we were there when the first fax machine came out, and then emails, texting, everything else.
Do you think artificial intelligence is going to work its way into the business?
I think it's going to make you realize some people aren't needed.
It is, and there's already.
I think that's going to even be another ding on the office occupancy. You take the people that aren't coming back to work, and then you take the employers that say, I can get it, AI to do what you're doing.
We're like doing research.
And really, since you've been gone, we haven't missed you. So why don't you just stay gone? I think it's going to be 2 or 3 year tightening. That's why we're going to use all our friends to get in Barton Oaks.
You're talking about Barton Oaks. Where are the opportunities going forward over the next couple of years?
I think there's going to be some shuffling around of properties. There'll be some banks that take some back. There'll be, there'll be some perimeter or suburban areas that grow faster than others.
Dick, you want to talk about what we're doing?
Well, first of all, there's always going to be opportunity with a great location. And great locations they're here and down. They're great locations when the market's up, when the market's down, and to the extent great locations are selling at a discount, that's a great opportunity. That's one. Two, part of what we're spending a lot of time doing is calling on small and regional banks to figure out where do they have stress and where there might be problems we can help them solve. Whether or not that's they're going to take back a building, they need somebody to manage it, lease it, and asset manage it for them, or are there loans that they have that they'll sell that we think there's value there if we can step into the ownership shoes and do a business plan and go operate to a business plan. We think there's going to be good opportunities there. And in our core businesses like industrial, I mean there's not tons of stress in industrial or in self-storage, and really the fundamentals in multifamily, they're gonna snap back a lot quicker than office. So the multifamily we'll be building multifamily again soon.
Yeah,
so
that's only a
all
supply
there.
problem. That's not a demand problem. Office, I think there's a demand
Yeah.
When do you think it makes sense?
and a supply issue.
When do you think it makes sense to put shovels in the ground for multifamily? Are we going to wait for rates to come down, or is that something?
I mean, it's just it's a bunch of different factors. I mean, rates coming down will help. Those are short-term rates. What happens to the long-term rates that really the cap rates track to, and where's that? I mean, if rent growth is going to be zero to negative, that makes it hard. Mm-hmm. Construction costs are still not coming down that much. The high short-term interest rates is a function of cost because we have to pay all that during lease up. So, and it all comes back to we're in a state and we're in a city that's going to have positive job growth. And you have positive job growth, eventually we're going to be able to build again. We're going to be able to build office again. We're able to build multifamily again. And we'll continue with industrial, but it's just because we're in a state that's not going to stop growing,
right?
No matter what happens.
Doubling every 20. Same with office. I don't know why you want to build an office. I think that's so far to see out on the horizon that would be good. But if you look at multifamily, you don't want to start building until you know where that floor of the rent dropping is going to be. Everybody's still dropping rents a little bit, and there's a flight from the B to the A properties, and until you get rid of the 60,000 square feet of units, or at least it stabilizes, start
It looks like there's a supply problem too. It may be, in Austin, there's really micro sections of town that the supply is not, as big as it looks like on paper for the whole city. And so I think we've got the location we have, or I think better locations than the rest of the market. And so we'll just have to wait and see when the time's right.
At one time, we really needed to develop to get the development fees to help us out and even feed ourselves when we were really starting out. But now we don't have to develop. And a lot of firms, smaller firms or firms that, aren't as well trenched in the management, they have to do that. But we can run the enterprise without developing anything. And we can
we've always really tried to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. You see a lot of shops that have to feed the machine, and they're doing deals that maybe don't pencil what they would like. Mm-hmm. Was that intentional to build a diversified kind of?
Always have beans on the table.
I think Dick drove management more than anything. He didn't mind. I saw that at Trammell Cook, and I wasn't really. big on management because it takes so much of your time. But Dick want to do it. But there's two good things about management. Number one is the stability, equaling all the highs and lows that you have in a development more oriented business. But also you stay closer to your tenants. When you are the manager, you're staying with them all the time. And so the growth of our business has been a lot through tenants we've always had. We've been good to, and they've been good to us.
And we have over 300 tenants in Austin. By keeping close to those tenants, we should be able to feel the market changes and bottoms and tops by listening to them. How's their business doing?
Yeah.
Are their competitors still moving to town? Or they kind of shied away from Austin? I mean, just all the little tiny little bits of data you can get. You can't necessarily get out of the newspaper, or you can, they're those human interactions that give you insights into which way the market's headed. That's been really helpful for us because if you go back and look at our history, I mean, knock on wood, I mean, we haven't made huge mistakes by getting caught with big land positions when the market's way down, or a bunch of vacancy when the market is going to go down. I mean, if you look at what we've done in the past, I mean, we've been lucky about refinancing at the right time. We've been lucky about selling office at the right time. We've been lucky about
Not building
office and selling industrial at the right time. So, and that's all not because we're smart. It's because we know the market. We know the market because we have those Wednesday morning meetings and we get a feel for what the tenants are saying and what the velocity's like, and looking at spaces and all that stuff kind of helps us know what we think. We're going to know the ebbs and flows here better than anybody.
And the open office concept, which we've always had, keeps. I mean, the flow of information. I mean, there's so many things that you don't even realize you picked up on, that you do pick up on, because you're talking about 6 different things, completely different things in an hour, or less.
And we have a third party brokers, our tenant advisor guys, really are out there in the market, seeing things all the time that not necessarily a landlord's rep's going to see as much. And so we're getting that information. We have our lease meetings. It used to be that they would just come the first of every month, remember? Now we got Mark, our landlord rep people, and our tenant advisors, and they're all learning and gaining. I think it's great. And you know what? Nobody's stealing tenants. You think that these guys know this tenant's having trouble or they're moving out here, and you think they're not. They're doing well. And our group of tenant advisors, I think, is better teamwork oriented than any brokerage house in town.
By far.
They lock their drawers and hide their stuff from each other. People that,
Anything. So yeah, I agree. I think the information flow is powerful, right? Because I mean, that's what this business is all about, is information and how you use it and keeping those lines of communication open. What's keeping y'all awake at night, if anything, about what we're seeing over the next, 12 months, 36 months, and so on?
Well, we went to the rodeo the other night. He tried to keep me awake, but I fell asleep.
4 escaped, 3 were tangled. I'd say $34 trillion of national debt scares me, and having the bigger scope of things get so political and biased, the judicial system and things that are going on there scares me. As far as our local economy, I think the banking systems here, Austin has as good of things going as any city or area in the country.
It doesn't keep me awake at night, but do think about it. It makes you sound like I'm old, but I do worry about whatever the next generation that's coming up that went through shutdown and COVID, and what they've lost in the whole, just that mentality of what is work ethic, or what is, it's just going to be different.
Well, the thing that I worry most about is not, like I said before, Texas, best place to be in the world. Austin's probably the best place to be in Texas, so I think we're good there. It's just all the macro things, and is China going to invade Taiwan? Is Russia and Ukraine going to get done? What's going to happen in the Middle East? All those things that can turn into really, really bad situations. Right. That's what I worry about. I don't necessarily worry about the next renewal for the tenant or even interest rates. I know that's all going to take care of itself, and we just need more time to, like the interest rates. Our industry just needs more time to get used to the new norm. Then the norm is not 2% interest rates. That's never what we've had to deal with. They're 6%. That's what interest rates have always kind of been in a historical average for us. So we just have to our industry has to kind of get flushed through some of those deals that were done with all that really, really cheap and sometimes free money. So I don't worry about that, but I do worry about all the macro stuff and how well are we going to be positioned as a country and our leadership to be able to respond to that, and what does it do to the bigger market trends that are going to affect everybody, not just the other 49 states. It's going to affect Texas too.
Don't you think that the 2% interest rates and the interest rates were where the norm was in the 90s or even 2000s? The biggest difference now is that the huge inflation that the interest rates were really covering before, because you wheel up the interest rates and what it costs to build it, and that's what I don't think we've caught up to, is just how our industry is, just how expensive things are, and the rates that you have to get them are just something that we haven't seen to make sense to make.
But I also think COVID and the lack of employees, the lack of supply chain items that you needed, forced price up a little bit artificially, especially the margins that the guys had. I don't think labor's going to come down, but you may see some material costs come down a little, not a whole lot, but the margins, you'll see that. But I don't think we're that much higher than normal. I mean, it should be. I think we're maybe 10% higher than we should be.
Maybe some margins.
Yeah, 20%. They're going to go back to 8, 10%.
Barely making it.
Yeah, keep their people working.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Austin is getting potentially too expensive to attract, the sharp 22, 25-year-old kids?
I don't think so.
No, I think the Austin area is not. I mean, you're not going to live downtown or in the main perhaps, but you might be living in Kyle or Buda, Pflugerville or Cedar Park. And we're still somewhat affordable. There's a lot going on that's really good. And this drop in office rates kind of helps. It helps attract some of the West Coast firms.
But don't you think that the kids, the high tech kids, that the software developers and the Microsofts of the world, and those are the kind of kids that will live downtown. So manufacturing, that's going to have to go out. But I don't think it's unaffordable. It doesn't seem like for kids to go downtown and live. Do you?
Well, I mean, it is unaffordable for the policemen and the firemen and the teachers.
Yeah.
Which obviously we need, and that is an issue. But what we have from a job growth standpoint, we don't have to worry about Kansas City and St. Louis and Sacramento. We have to worry about Boston, San Jose, maybe a little Phoenix, and I think in regard to those markets, we are affordable. But just the blocking and tackling of having a community, there's things that we need to work on for affordability for that. For that demographic, but for job growth, I don't think it's going to hurt us.
I agree. I've got $118,000 average UPS driver wage, so that guy can afford $4,000 a month.
And I heard something on the radio on the way in today that I can't remember which at Williamson maybe, it said population growth was something like 20% over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So I think we're losing some people in Austin proper, but the suburbs are doing just fine.
And Travis County's actually gone down. We had net, whatever the term is. We have had more move outs than move ins to Travis County, but they're not moving to Nashville and Phoenix. They're moving to Williamson County, and Hayes County. It's not like they're spreading out.
And I'd say one thing that our market used to be Austin, almost city limits. It was really rare that we would step out of the city limits. I think now our market is really San Antonio to Georgetown, one market now. And you look at these users that will go everywhere, and we're expanding and looking at our next. The other thing, though, is we've always tried to get closer in sites. I think we'll start seeing further and further reach where we'll go.
All right, switching gears a little bit.
And talking about industrial.
Right.
I don't think we'll do office in many other places.
Well, industrial just seems to keep going, right? I mean, I feel like San Antonio and Austin are becoming one market when you drive south. Was there a time, I'm a newbie to Austin, right? Was there a time when Austin was truly ever weird?
Politicians have been weird.
It's always had, because we were a big university town, it's always going to have that. I'm this is hard for me to say, but I'm glad Austin's a liberal town. I would hate to live in a place with a bunch of people that think like I do. That would be kind of a boring place to live. But now there's needs to be limits on that. And I think from a politics standpoint, we're getting a little bit too far into the weird, which is going to affect a lot of things, safety and affordability and a lot of different things. But Austin's it still is weird. It's just turned into more. It used to be kind of hippie cowboy weird, and now it's a little bit more edgy. I don't know how to describe it. Weird, but it's
weird with money now.
Yeah.
And that weird makes it a little difficult to develop. And so sometimes those entitlements are a little trickier, and it helps the hometown team, I think, get a little better jump on somebody coming in from out of town doing entitlements. But our city used to be real difficult doing entitlements. Now, if you stay with it, you'll get it entitled.
It just may take you 18 months.
Yeah, it costs you a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money. You may miss the market by the time you get your entitlements, that's one of the biggest risks of developing in Austin.
True.
You don't know what you
But
got.
that helps a little bit. That
Well, I know it helps
out
us
a little bit. Like Dallas is just a free fall.
Yeah.
I mean, not free fall, free for all.
No, I think definitely helps. It's always helped keep a lot of national developers coming in. They have come in this last cycle.
Yeah.
Institutional. That's always been the case because that's been to our advantage.
Yeah.
Which venues do you guys miss the most? What bars or restaurants? Jake's.
Jake's number one for me.
Jake's was my favorite.
So what was Jake's all about?
It was about 900 square feet. It had a chefboard table, which I still own. I just don't know where it is. 1947.
It's a show.
Pee Wee, Marie Vanna owned it. They lived upstairs. The best fried oysters, greasiest,
Cold
cheese and chicken fried, old schooners of beer. I mean, it had the coldest can of beer I've ever had. It was a great place.
What part of the city?
It was at 5th and West.
Oh wow. Did they lost the lease or what happened?
No,
Car
they
dealer came in.
finally sold to the car dealer next door. Pee Wee, during the height of the 80s, worth the word $1 million. He never could get it out of his head, even when everything went downhill. And he finally died. So the car dealership had to buy the land and knock it down. And it's horrible. Now there's some apartments.
Pee Wee's, Fran's Hamburgers on
God.
Stallion.
Stallion was good.
Dick, what do you miss?
I'm not real nostalgic when it comes to places.
I mean,
Well, I can't think of one. I never went to Jake's.
Frisco's.
I think Jake's was gone when I.
Jake's
got
right
there.
on yeah.
Who got the best ranch water in town?
616.
Yeah,
They
Ranch
invented it.
616.
I mean,
They invented it.
where
Kevin Williamson, the Ranch 616.
It's like on 7th and Oasis.
616 Oasis.
I gotta go there. All right.
616 Oasis.
I gotta go there. If y'all were to look back, if you could talk to yourselves 30 some odd years ago today, what advice would you give yourselves about the future? What would you tell yourselves?
We should have bought everything we possibly could have downtown
All right.
Yeah.
because we could have bought it for nothing.
Oh,
And I was trying to tell them both that, but they wouldn't listen to me.
But at the time, we were just trying to buy our lunch.
Actually, that's not true. That was Kent saying that, not me. You couldn't have. I would just say, just go lever up as much as humanly possible and buy everything in this town. Like I said, nobody's predicting in 2000 or 1992 what it was going to be like right now. But if you could go back and
Right.
we could
I'm
be
sure
done a lot of
quarterback
damage.
yeah. But I'd say I'm surprised we stayed together and grew as much as we did, and really didn't get any difficult times other than the first 2 years starting out, which were lean and tough. We didn't falter. We stayed through all the swings and depressions or recessions we went through. We stayed true to our form. And
That wasn't the question.
well,
What'd you say? Cause,
what would I
'cause
say?
that's a grand stick. Because I mean, you're right. Just buy everything you possibly can.
Yeah.
Anything.
And then buy some more, right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
buy some more.
But I wouldn't say I had any regrets or things that I wish I would have gone back and said. You're right. There's a lot of things we sold. We sold too early, perhaps, and there's a lot of things that we should have bought. But overall, everything we sold, we bought with the equity we pulled out of there. We were able to buy 3 different properties that did well. But I'd say stay true to what we really thought because it all worked. And I will say, we were building friends that are still friends today. And they're in business in themselves. They've done well in their businesses, and that's helped us too.
So yeah, you all travel with a pretty successful crowd, right? The folks that you know in Austin, the folks that you know in Texas. What's the common thread that you see with these folks that's led to their success? Besides the folks who are born into it, what's made successful business people over the last 30 years?
Work ethic and people that have the ability to build relationships.
I also say that I think, and I wouldn't say pioneers, but staying close to the high tech industry and the IPO, the entrepreneurs. I don't think there's anyone in town that did it earlier or stuck with it through for 30 years than us. I mean, it'd be, because we partnered with these people with great ideas and just ideas in general that were, you learn something new every day about new things that were coming along. And I just, whether it's the phone that came along or the junior PC or the touch screens, all these different things that and the newspaper online, all these different things that we saw along the way. And we invested a lot in a lot of different things that didn't work. We invested in some things that worked, and those were fun. But it's just the information flow between, I think, the real estate company that we were and that we are, and the high tech or the venture community has been, I think, unmatched.
It goes back to information, right? Like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, and trust and information. And it's not necessarily we're looking to make a deal with anybody, but we're trying to help them so we can help them grow their company. We're willing to risk whatever we have with them, and for both of us to either grow or not. And if we grow together, then everyone definitely trusts each other. And if we don't, then we'll look to another time to do business with them again, or try to.
And I think also one of the things that made people successful, it's included, is your word's your honor.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll do what you say, and you don't have to have a written agreement. We'll take care of the people that take care of us.
Yeah, any stories that y'all are willing to share about one another on a closing note that we can?
Not really. We did say one thing long ago. We said, look, we're going to not have an organization with all this hierarchy above us to tell us what to do and everything else. We got to be critics of each other,
right?
But do it, privately and among ourselves. Let's drive ourselves to be better by doing that. And we are openly critical of each other, and I think in a good way.
That's important. You have to have somebody who's willing to kind of tell you where the warts are, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think HPI is going to be, as you all continue on with your lives? What's the next generation of HPI looking like? How are we going to?
You'll see it right back there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's here. It's just when we need to be sure we're giving enough up to where they can run with it.
Right.
That's always a struggle. That's always, some of the best organizations I've ever seen get lost in that handoff from like founders to the next kind of generation, and a lot of people have screwed that up. Hopefully we won't.
Yeah, that's your legacy, right? You're building it.
You can't be greedy. You got to be fair.
If you want to keep the young, hungry guys around, you got to give them that opportunity.
There's a lot of people that still. We got 8 or 10 people that people steal in a minute.
At least. And